welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at how to install applications on almost all Ubuntu versions. We are doing this particularly on Ubuntu Mate, but most of these methods should work with all Ubuntu versions on the Raspberry Pi and some with Raspbian. So getting started, the built-in installer on Ubuntu Mate is, you can find it by just searching software in your menu, opening it up, and this has a pretty good choice of application. It also shows you what you have installed, and you can choose to remove any of these apps if you want to uninstall them, and it also shows you updates. So this is how you can get to your applications to choose from. If you want to remove an application, this is where you do it, and if you want to get updates, and it's pretty simple on how to install applications with this. You just open the application and hit install, and it should get right to installing. Not all these will work, most of them will, and it's a pretty simple way. But I'm going to show you another method that's built right into Raspbian or Ubuntu Mate on the Raspberry Pi 4. I'm using 18.4, the long-term version of Ubuntu, and this should work. So start by opening Chromium. I would recommend getting Chromium if you're using Ubuntu Mate. I like it a lot more than Firefox. That's my personal, and it works better with Pi. So just search snap installer, or I think I spelled that wrong. So it's into all Ubuntu versions, or at least most, and it is not built into Raspbian though, but if you just, since it's already built into Ubuntu's, you can just instantly click on store. If you're on Raspbian, you're going to need to follow the installation steps to installing it. I will be making a separate tutorial on installing applications with Raspbian. This is just for Ubuntu Mate specifically, but Ubuntu in general. So let's head to the store. Since it's already built into most Ubuntu versions, you can just start installing applications using it. So say we wanted to install VLC. And you just follow, you can install it here and then follow those steps, or you can go install and copy and paste this into your terminal, and it should install that way. Your terminal can be found just in your menu by searching terminal. This is your terminal. It's quite powerful. It's Linux terminal, and then you can copy and paste it into your terminal to install this or whatever you want to install. Now I will say a lot of applications in Snap will not work with your Raspberry Pi. If they don't, then you'll just have to try using another application. If it doesn't work, it probably won't work with your Raspberry Pi in general or Ubuntu Mate. Again, this Ubuntu Mate thinks of your Raspberry Pi has a 32-bit operating system, so you have to keep that in mind when installing stuff. It has to be 32-bit. So if we go back here, if you want to search applications using Snap, you can search them, and not all the applications will work, but here's another method of installing them using their website that is built right into most Ubuntu's, and you can follow the installation steps to get it on Raspbian. The next method we're going to look at, it is not built into Ubuntu. You do have to install it. Neither is it Raspbian, but I would recommend getting it on Raspbian and Ubuntu, depending on what version you have. So just search Flatpak. Now Flatpak is what we're going to be using. So Flatpak, just first link. And it will take you to a page that looks something like this. You just go get set up. After you've done that, you should be able to choose whatever version of Linux you have. We're using Ubuntu. If you have Raspbian or whatever you have, vice versa, just click on whatever you're using. I will make a separate tutorial for Raspbian, but today we're just using Ubuntu. This works with all Ubuntu desktops, but I'm using Ubuntu Mate in this video. Copy and paste these one line at a time into your terminal in order to install it. Then just reboot your system and hit install some apps. After that has been done, here you can go to the application store. It's actually called FlatHub, and if you just search FlatHub into your server, Safari or Chrome or whatever you have, if you just search FlatHub, it'll take you straight to FlatHub where you can get applications, not Flatpak, FlatHub. So if you want to get an application, you can search it here, or let's say you want one of these. If you want GIMP or Inkscape, just hit Inkscape. And then it'll take you to the installation page. Again, you can hit install, click on it, and follow those steps to install it. After it's downloaded, you can click and follow those steps. Or you can copy and paste these lines into your command line in order to install it with your terminal. So you can just copy and paste these into your terminal in order to install it that way. So, after that's been done, those are the three ways of installing stuff. FlatHub, Snap, and the software store is built into Ubuntu Mate. The software store is not in Raspbian, but neither is Snap in Raspbian, but you can get Snap in Raspbian. FlatHub is not built into Ubuntu or Ubuntu Mate, but you can get it. Neither is it built into Raspbian, but you can get it on there, and I would recommend getting it on there just for more choice in applications. And if one application doesn't work with one software installer, you can try it with the other and it may work. Keep in mind, when using Ubuntu Mate, long-term support, it thinks of your system as a 32-bit system, not a 64-bit, at least for me, so you can only get 32-bit applications. The next method we're going to look at is, or actually I'm going to show you that after you've installed FlatHub, their applications will come up in your software store. So if we go back to the software, you can see that some of the applications here are actually from FlatHub. So that is showing you that they did move into the store. We have two versions of Blender here. One's from FlatHub, one's from the store. If this version doesn't work of Blender, then you can use this version or try it. If neither version works, you probably can't get it. So this just gives you more choice, and then FlatHub's apps will move into your software store, so you don't have to go to FlatHub every time you want to get a Flatpak app. And this just gives you more choice in applications, or if it doesn't work with one installer, it may work with the other. So that is how you can get apps using that method. And if you want to use Flatpak apps without using your browser, just get them here. They will be moved here after you get Flatpak. And then another method of installing apps or applications is just with the terminal. A lot of applications will actually install with the terminal. I'm not going to go over every single one that will install with the terminal, but a lot of them will. So if you just go sudo apt install, and then after typing sudo apt space get install space, you can put your application name here. Now, if your application name is after your application name is put, you can hit enter. And if your application is available, it will come up with a bunch of lines of code or commands or whatever you want to call it, and then it will give you a y/n. If you type in Y and hit enter, that stands for yes, I want to get it. If you hit no or N into the keyboard and hit enter, that stands for no, I don't want to get it. So just keep in mind when you're installing an application that with the terminal that you will be prompt asked yes or no a lot of the time, and Y just stands for yes, enter, and no, enter stands for no. So Y/no is yes or no. And then as you can see, I said sudo apt install Blender. it didn't come up with any of that because I already have Blender installed using the terminal. This only Blender 2.79 will work with your terminal. I'll make a separate video for installing Blender, but just keep in mind you can only get Blender 2.79 with the terminal. And Blender 2.79 can only be installed on the Raspberry Pi. That's the only version you can get with the Raspberry Pi. Keep that in mind. I have heard of people installing Blender 2.8 on the Raspberry Pi with other Linux applications, but it's very laggy, and Blender 2.79 is the only one that would work the best. I'm going to be making separate videos on installing Blender, Godot, and Arduino IDE, just so that when people search how to do it, they can get those specific videos rather than one that shows them how to install applications in general. But I will just show you that Blender works, just to give an example that these applications do work, and these methods do work. Sometimes they won't, but if you try a different application installer, it may work, and if that doesn't work, then you most likely cannot get it on your platform of the Raspberry Pi 4. So, most of these methods will work with the Raspbian and all Ubuntu versions. Some with the Raspbian, most of them will work with all Ubuntu versions, including Ubuntu Mate. So, we're just going to go to, if you want more status on what Ubuntu version I have and what I did to get it, I used Berry Boot, and I do have it overclocked to 2 GHz, but I made a video on just generally Ubuntu Mate on the Raspberry Pi in general last video, so I'm just going to show you that Blender works, and it's very smooth. It works well with the Raspberry Pi. I like using Blender 2.7 with the Raspberry Pi. There's not much lag, it works good. So as you can see, it works. And it not just works, it works fairly well. So yes. So that's just showing it working, and yeah. And then I will make separate videos on installing these applications. I explain the reason why. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment. If you have anything to say, let me know. I will be trying to upload videos. Someone asked about using Blender. I just showed it there. I will be making a separate installation of Blender in another video, just so people can search it if they don't know how to install Blender. You can install it using the terminal and most of those applications, but you can only get Blender 2.79. I showed that it worked. They also asked about Krita, I believe. The thing with Krita is it will not work with this version of Ubuntu I have, because it recognizes the operating system has a 32-bit. Krita is a 64-bit operating system, I believe, so I don't think I can get it with Ubuntu Mate. I will try a little bit more. If I get it to work, I will upload a video of that, but if I can't get it to work on Ubuntu Mate, I will try to get it to work on Raspbian. With that said, I will try to make a creative installation video on Raspbian. Most likely, if it doesn't work out, I probably just won't post anything. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.